Hello and welcome back to another episode of the On the Sideline podcast with Jackson and Kyle. I am Jackson, and I'm joined here, as always, by the man who is currently not in the middle of a hurricane. Kyle, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Hoping you and everyone else involved and stuck in this hurricane situation are safe and sound this Wednesday evening, and everyone's doing okay.
Yeah, Kyle, I've had a crazy couple of days with the hurricane stuff. So yeah, just should mention at the top of the show, there's a hurricane that's in Florida. It's seems like it's going to go through where I'm at sort of tomorrow morning. It seems like we're going to be okay. It's not going to be too severe once it gets through Orlando, but there's a chance that we could see some power outages. If you see a lack of content the next couple of days, I'm probably just sitting playing a board game or something because there's no power. But so this is a crazy scenario. I was moving this week. So not only is there a hurricane, but I was in the process of moving. So I had to get all of that done. I almost had it done last night. I got a flat tire at like 2 a.m. last night with a hurricane coming the next day and a truck full of stuff that I need to move from. I've had a lot of very chaotic day, Kyle. I'm happy to be here just doing a podcast.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. I'm glad everything's kind of passed for you, and yeah, that's pretty intense. So this show could end unceremoniously just at random point, but hopefully it doesn't.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, we're hoping that things go well. But yeah, we do have a show. The show goes on, Kyle. Whether it's a hurricane, whatever. Well, we have picks. What would a world do if they did not have picks for this upcoming week?
That's a good point. I don't know what anybody would do. They're missing out on us. They're missing out on everything.
Right. This is very important. Kyle, we do have a Monday night game to get to, unfortunately. So the Cowboys are 2-1. Quarterback controversy. Cooper Rush or Dak Prescott?
The undefeated Cooper Rush, who would have thought it? He's 3-0 now for his career as a starter for the Dallas Cowboys. I had multiple people in the Dallas area ask me, is there a quarterback controversy? Of course there's not. That's ridiculous. But at the same time, they have won 2 games, which is just crazy because you kind of were like, okay, like not that either of us had high expectations for this Cowboys team, but now they're 2-1 and, Dak's still going to be out a few weeks. But is there a chance they could weather the storm and get one of those playoff spots? Because as we said a few times,
easy about weathering the storm here, Kyle.
Yeah, sorry, no pun intended there. But yeah, I mean, so we've said a few times on this show, I think it's going to be kind of hard for this team to. I think it's going to be kind of hard for for us to find 7 good NFC playoff teams. Is it possible this Cowboys team could kind of hold even, get Dak back, and go on a run the second half of the season?
Well, it's crazy to think about how much differently, the Cowboys, we had written their obituary after week 1. I mean, they were dead, they were buried, and it was over. We said, okay, the Cowboys suck. They're not going to be able to be successful. They then upset, beat the Bengals, which, their defense played very well in that game. And now their defense plays very well, again, against a Giants team that's not exactly, I think, a team that people are going to sit here and be wild about. But still, the Daniel Jones stat line speaks for itself. 37 attempts, under 200 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception. Saquon still getting his. Saquon's all the way back. That's cool to see. But their coverage is playing very well. Trayvon Diggs is proving that last year was not a fluke, I think. I think he's played very well. So I think that this is, I think they're a team that is probably better than I expected them to be heading into this season. The question is still, can you weather the storm for as long as Prescott is out? The nice thing though is, again, you play the Commanders next week. That's definitely a winnable game. You then got a bit of a tough stretch. You're playing the Rams and the Eagles right after that. But coming out of that stretch being 3-3 is not the end of the world.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see what happens with this team overall. But yeah, I mean, I think there's some solid things about this team for sure. This defense is better than I think anyone expected. And it's mainly because they're able to get a lot of pressure up front with this group with, I don't think Parsons had a sack in this game, but I've thought he was a force a lot of the night. And it opened up a lot of opportunities for DeMarcus Lawrence, who, isn't so bad himself to have basically free rush at a quarterback, got 3 sacks in this game. And then, like you said, the secondary has been very good, and it's led by Trayvon Diggs, who I think through these 3 games has actually been better than he was last season. So I think that's also added to it. I think there's a lot going for this Cowboys team. They run the ball. I think they balance the carries well between Pollard and Elliott, which I think has helped both of them be successful. And then, as you saw at the end of this game, because I was, mentally preparing for I might have been wrong on CD Lamb at the draft after that drop, to Jen just bounce back and explode and have a performance he did. CD Lamb was fantastic to end this game. And I mean, you got a couple running backs, you got, a halfway decent offensive line, you got a receiver, you got a good defense. You can kind of survive with, below average quarterback play with that, as long as Cooper Rush takes care of the ball.
Speaking of below average quarterback play and taking care of the ball, the Daniel Jones stuff, I just feel like the Giants just they're 2-1. They're favored this week against the Bears, but it just feels like this is not going to happen for the Giants this year. This is maybe a first year Brian Flores type situation.
It could be. I feel like I'm losing my mind with this though, because did you see the talk about Daniel Jones after this game? That
No.
Daniel Jones is I saw one tweet that said Daniel Jones is Josh Allen. He just doesn't have the talent around him. I saw Jeff Saturday saying that it doesn't matter. Daniel Jones would be much better with receivers, which sure, a lot of quarterbacks would be better with good wide receivers. But to act like this guy is going to be good, like a good quarterback, I just don't see the situation that he's going to excel. I really don't see the situation he's going to excel. I saw a play where they're praising Andrew Thomas because he puts Micah Parsons into the ground. Okay. He literally puts him into the ground one play. Daniel Jones rolls out. There's a guy from the secondary coming at him to blitz thinking he's scrambling. He stares at him for almost 4 seconds and gets sacked. He just stands there looking downfield while this guy's running straight at him in his eyesight and takes a sack. And it's just like, you can't throw that away. You can't find anything to do in those 4 seconds. I don't understand it at all. He's struggling in this game. I still feel like this team might end up 3-1, crazily enough, and I don't think it's that good of a football team. But they could end up 3-1. But I think they're quarterback searching next year.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me a bit of the Darnold situation, another New York team of all that. Just because you're in a bad situation doesn't mean we can't evaluate you. I want to talk about one more thing. You brought up Andrew Thomas. He's been amazing this season. Is it time to get any concern about Evan Neal? Evan Neal is currently the 69th rated tackle according to PFF. There are 70 eligible tackles. So, not great start to Evan Neal's career. I kind of figured he would be a guy who takes a bit of time to develop, but so I'm not concerned. But any concern from you?
Well, isn't the argument not to be concerned about Evan Neal, Andrew Thomas?
Yeah, exactly. They're almost the same player.
Yeah, I mean, it took him a year to get going. So, I mean, give him some time. I mean, we've had a couple of tackles in the last few years that have, taken a bit of time to develop. You're looking at, I don't think Austin Jackson's awesome in Miami, but I think he's a lot better than he was last year. So, I think there's a few guys you could look at in that sort of regard.
Yeah. Let's get into the pick'em part of the show. What you're all here to see. Kyle, it was tough because you got more picks right than me, but I made my lock and you did not make your lock. It really all comes down to the lock.
Yeah, very annoyed by that because I went 5-3. I thought I had a pretty good week, but Chiefs minus 6.5. I still feel like I was on the right side of that. They had a fake field goal attempt on a 4th and 10, up 17-13. I would have covered on that alone. Now Colts could have still gone down and scored, but you never know at that point. Felt like that one slipped away from them. So otherwise, I felt like I was pretty locked in on a lot of them. I didn't even know what other games did I get wrong. Of course, the one time, I don't pick the Panthers and the Panthers win. Actually, no, you picked the Saints, so never mind. But yeah, I mean, the Broncos pulled that one out. I still feel like I was, I don't feel terrible about that pick either. I feel like I've got this kind of figured out with the teams now.
Okay, you've got it figured out. No more wrong picks. We're going to be undefeated from here.
Perfection is the goal. That's what I got.
Yes, it's the goal. Probably not a realistic one, but we'll try for it anyway. So, Kyle, since you are trailing, you will give me a game to pick first. Let's just go ahead.
All right. And leading this off, 2 teams that I feel like are still kind of, playing for their lives, it feels like right now, especially one team. Divisional matchup. Neither team has looked really inspiring. Let's go Broncos at Raiders, game number 1.
Yeah, good one here. I have to say, great slate of games. I mean, another one where I'm
Yeah.
just like, I think there's 4 games that are around like 7 points or more in terms of the spread. Everything else is like 3.5 or less. I mean, this is a great slate that we're looking at. This one, you're right. It almost feels like a loser leaves town game type situation. Although Denver being 2-2 is not a disaster, but the Raiders being 0-4 being 0-3 is already really tough. This is a tough one. The Raiders are favored, and this is just one of those things where I'm kind of doing that. One of my favorite tricks I like to do is the Raiders being 1-3 and the Broncos being 2-2 makes way more sense to me than the Broncos being 3-1 and the Raiders 0-4. So I'm picking the Raiders to win.
I think there's some logic to it. I have some real concerns with the Raiders in this game off a few things. I guess I'll start with like obviously the Chargers have a good front four. And I think Tennessee, like, there's no stars on that Tennessee front four, but they find ways to get after the quarterback fairly well. And I think a lot of it has to do
Titans fans and I have been arguing about this all offseason about the quality of their pass rushers. So we don't need to get into that.
Yeah, I mean, they just find ways to get pressure, and I think a lot of it has to do with Simmons in the middle taking up so much attention too. Yeah. I don't think the Raiders can block. That's what I'm worried about. I don't think they can block. And Randy Gregory and Bradley Chubb have been maybe one of the best edge rushing duos in football this season. That's a concern because Derek Carr is not someone who does well under pressure. I feel like sometimes when you're getting pressure with 4, at least when you blitz him, it's a different story because he can pick apart blitzes at times. But when you're getting pressure with 4, he's a guy who's been known to put the football on the ground. And I just feel like that's a recipe for disaster for this Raiders offense. I'm a little concerned about that.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely a fair. It's perfectly valid. I think that definitely the Denver Broncos defense has lived up to the hype so far. They've done their share, and I think that the flip side is it's kind of weird because I feel like the Raiders still do have like great receivers and stuff. Like I'm still gonna buy that this thing is gonna eventually work out with Devontae Adams, Hunter Renfrow, and Darren Waller. I don't know why it hasn't worked out perfectly so far.
It's worked out for Matt Collins.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, 4 great receiving options there. But I'm going to assume that works out, but doesn't work out this week. This does feel like the kind of game that I feel typically I'd say, oh, Josh McDaniels, this is where he can thrive in. But again, we have to see it with the Raiders. So it's totally a coin flip game.
Yeah, I do think it is a toss-up because I mean, on the other side, I don't know. From what I've seen from the Raiders so far this season, or the Broncos, I don't really know how they're moving the ball either because I don't think the Raiders defense has been perfect. I still think it's solid. And I think the biggest question we had was the secondary without Casey Hayward. I think it's held up pretty well.
Yeah, Rocky Sin hasn't been Casey Hayward, but he's been solid.
Yeah, so I think it's done pretty well. I just think like, okay, so this might be a game when, talking myself through it, you bet the under. But I think, when we go through it, I do think there's a case for like, okay, Jamal Adams could go for like 12 catches for like 105 yards and a touchdown or something like that, right? Like that's probably the one thing you're probably banking on as a Raiders guy.
Who could go for
Devontae Adams? Sorry.
Okay, I was very.
I think
confused.
It said Jamal Adams.
Yeah, bad. He did. I was very lost there. Yeah, I was like, is there a Jamal Adams maybe that I haven't heard about on the Raiders? Yes. No. Absolutely. I could totally see that happening. And let's say like everyone wants to blame the coaching for Denver. Like they got to start getting guys open. Like and Russell Wilson has to hit them when they're getting open. Like that has to start being a thing. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that is a big thing because and part of it too, I think, is on Hackett because he's supposed to be this offensive guy. This is his thing, is this offensive mastermind, and it doesn't seem like this offense is coming from any sort of genius.
Yeah, well, I'm going to keep picking the Raiders, and it's going to keep. I mean, you're doing great stuff, giving me the Raiders every week. It's getting you some points, I think. I don't actually know if you've given me them before, but it's a good move, I think. Yeah, it's a good move. Just give me the Raiders. I will pick them, and when they're struggling. Any more in this game? We're going to move
on. We can move on. I think we covered all that.
All right, I'm giving you the marquee matchup, the one we're all ready to see, the one we're all talking about. Jets Steelers, baby. Where are you going?
Give me the Jets.
Hey,
I think the Jets are a better football team,
wow.
which is sad. I like some of the stuff the Jets had. Zach Wilson's going to play, so we'll see how that goes. I guess that's the wild card because it feels like the safe pick would be at least like Joe Flacco could at least play.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll just take what the Jets have. I like their front four. I like their corners. I have no idea how guys on Pittsburgh are going to get open in this game. And even worse, I don't know how Mitch Trubisky is going to throw to them, even if they are open. So I think this Jets defense can kind of suffocate the Steelers offense. There's good guys on the defensive line. Quentin Williams, John Franklin Myers. We've gone through this. Carl Lawson's also good. Good corners in the secondary that are going to give the Steelers a lot of trouble. And then it's crazy to say, but I might like this Jets passing game a little bit more with what we've seen from Garrett Wilson. I think he can make a big play.
I think everything you said totally makes sense. I think that I agree with everything you said. To me, the X factor here is the Zach Wilson of it all. And quarterbacks matter so much. And we've seen Zach Wilson sometimes in the same game last year look like a superstar and the worst quarterback I've ever seen, depending on the drive. So that alone makes it just a game I don't want to touch until we've seen more data on what Zach Wilson is in 2022.
Yeah, I think that's fair. That's a good point. And this is a good reason why you gave it to me, obviously. I think there's so let's play it this way. If he goes for like 300 yards in this game, I'm not shocked. And if he goes for like 125 yards and 3 picks, I'm also not shocked. I think it can go either way right now for him.
Yeah, and again, Steelers getting to 8-1, they need to pick up some of these wins.
Yeah, I mean, if they're going to find a way, if this team's going to be as competitive as they are trying to hype themselves to be, I don't really see it. I don't really see it happening for them unless they pick up this win, because this feels like one of those games on the schedule. You say, okay, we're playing the Jets at home, we're going to win it. If they lose this, I mean, I think it could kind of snowball downhill from here. I just haven't seen enough from this offense, man. Their solution was to use Najee Harris less, but I think Najee Harris is still the best player on the offense. So I just don't know what they're planning on doing.
That might be a bit of a hot take. What about your guy Deontay Johnson?
I mean, that's probably 1A and 1B, but at the same time, like, I think the upside of Harris is probably better. He's run behind a crappy offensive line in both of his seasons, though. So it's just, I don't really know how to judge it. And I think the problem is that Johnson's performance hinders on Trubisky being competent. Yeah. Harris's performance doesn't really hinder on that.
Yeah. That's definitely probably fair. I think the running game is better than the passing attack for them. But let's move on. We don't spend forever on this. Give me a game.
All right, let's go with this one does kind of feel like a toss-up to me, even though, the Saints kind of laid a dud last week. I'm interested to see how this team responds. So let's go Vikings at Saints.
Yeah, it's again, there's so many good games here. I had it a little bit lower, but like I some weeks I have this as the first game I'm giving you, because it can go either way. I see the logic giving it this. You're right. The Saints laid such a dud. I don't know what it is about playing Carolina early in the season. Last year it was all the injuries and stuff. This year, Jameis Winston, I believe, missed a practice, which is concerning. I don't know what his health is. If Jameis Winston is healthy, this might be a different thing. The Vikings are, again, obviously when you think of these two teams, I think you think about that NFC Championship game, the Brett Favre Bounty Gate game. No love lost between these two fan bases, certainly. I think I'm going to pick the Vikings to win. Again, I don't know how healthy the New Orleans Saints are. I think Winston being banged up hurt. We saw some sideline camera footage of Andy Dalton during the broadcast of last game. That's never good. You never want to see Andy Dalton if he plays on your team on the sideline. It usually doesn't mean great. So I'm picking the Vikings to win.
I think that's a fair point. I still think the Saints can cover. Like, even in that game against Carolina, it was literally like Laviska Shenault took a screen to the house.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't really get explosive plays. DJ Moore was basically silenced in that game. Now, the Panthers passing game has not looked inspiring this season at all, but I thought the Saints did a pretty good job overall in the secondary. And so I think maybe they can match up with the Vikings and Vikings receivers at least, and they had that going for them. But I agree, based on what we've seen from the Saints offense, like, I just don't know what to think of this team right now. I don't know what, like, we talked about these two teams competing for the 6th seed this season potentially. And based on what we saw so far, I don't know if either of these teams are getting the 6th seed.
Yeah, or the 7th seed.
Yeah,
with the extended thing. But yeah, you're good. We've all done it. Yeah, it's fascinating. I do think the Saints defense, I can easily see them shutting down this Vikings offense. That's not shocking. Wouldn't be a surprise. And you're right. This game could go a very long way towards deciding that 7 seed. I mean, the Saints can't go down to 1-3 right here. That's going to be a tough situation. I mean, again, you still get, but and they've already used half their divisional games, and usually we think of those as 6 wins for them. But that's going to be tough. So it really does come down to, I think, how well can the Saints move the ball on offense. And we've seen some inconsistency with the receivers. They look great sometimes. They haven't looked great some other times. The reality is, again, for the first 3 quarters, this Saints offense looked like the worst offense in football. They've been good in the fourth quarter, but you got to start getting it consistently. And while this Vikings team has had its flaws, especially, secondary has made mistakes, can the Saints exploit that? I think that's probably what the difference is going to be in this game.
Even if Jameis is healthy, do you consider going to Andy Dalton?
I think no. I think I would stick with Jameis for at least a little bit longer.
I think that's fair, but I think it's a conversation that people should have.
Sure.
At least people in the Saints, yeah.
Yeah, I just think it's like you hitched your, this is the horse you back. Like, see what happens.
Yeah. I do think, though, too, for as bad as it's looked at times, I still think these Saints receivers are prone to kind of going nuts. I think from what we've seen from Olave, they basically now have 2 guys that can really go off with him and Thomas. And then if they can get anything out of Kamara or if they can get anything out of Jarvis Landry, that's just extra. That's extra bonus.
Yeah, I totally agree. Should be an interesting game here. Let's move on. Let's go to. I'm going to give you the game tomorrow. Dolphins Bengals. I hope my power's not out. I'd love to watch this game. Seems a lot of fun. Dolphins Bengals. Where are you going?
This one I'm going back and forth on. It's really tough. I think there's arguments for both sides of this. The Dolphins. Let's start. So if you're picking the Bengals, you're going off a few things. Dolphins just had a really emotional win. 2 wins, really. 2 really emotional wins, grinding wins. They had players leave the game last week because of heat stroke. How are they recovered on a short week? They are dealing with a hurricane in their hometown. How are they dealing with this, crazy schedule traveling? I mean, they basically flew through a hurricane today, which is crazy. There's all that stuff. That being said, I don't think this is a very good matchup for Cincinnati. I just don't. I think Miami can get after them. What we've seen from Melvin Ingram, Christian Wilkins, all these guys on the Miami front line, I think they can get after Joe Burrow. And when you're looking at, teams that can man up and defend a little bit of Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, that kind of stuff, you're probably picking the Dolphins team to be able to do that. And then on the other side, I still think Bengals defense could have some success in this game. They keep the 2 deep safeties against these teams. They're probably going to do that more against the Dolphins in this one. I don't think DJ Reader being out is going to be that big of a deal because the Dolphins don't really run the ball anyways. So I think there's 2 sides of this to go on. I'm just going to pick Miami because I think it's a better matchup for them, despite some of the stuff going against them. I'm leaning Miami right now.
Okay, having Miami keep the undefeated season alive here to go 4-0. To me, one of the things that I'm interested in is, so it seems like last year teams learned a lesson over and over again. Do not cover Jamar Chase one-on-one. Bad things happen. I don't care if you have Jalen Ramsey on him. He can burn anybody. Will the Dolphins still try to cover him one-on-one? I think that's an interesting question.
I think it's an interesting question. I think that's seeing both of these secondaries match up with these receivers. If Waddle plays, it sounds like he's going to play. If Waddle plays, how these secondaries match up with these receivers, I think is the most interesting question. And I think that I think we're going to see a lot of Xavier Howard matchup on Jamar Chase, but I think he's going to have safety help too. I don't think they're going to leave him out to dry. And I think Javon Holland's going to be lurking around. I don't think they're going to leave him one-on-one in that matchup.
Yeah. I would hope so. But again, you don't have to do it every time. Do it once, and that's the Bengals can burn you on it. Yeah, I'm very fascinated as well as the Bengals. I still think about, how the Bengals let Mike White pick them apart last year. And it just feels like this could be a similar situation where they're just sort of able to, find the soft spots in this Bengals zone coverage and do that well. So I don't hate the pick. I could see it going either way.
Yeah. I just think it's a better matchup for Miami right now. I think if these teams were full strength, I'd pick Miami. But because of everything going on with Miami, it's giving me some trepidation. Plus short week in Cincinnati. I think that stuff kind of leans Bengals. But I think Miami's just a better matchup.
If the Bengals lose, is it time to be concerned about the Bengals, or has it already been time?
I'm not fully concerned after this game because it's a good team.
Yeah.
Um, but the problem is you got to start winning soon. So I guess if you lose this one, you got to start racking up some wins here shortly.
Yeah, I mean, these could be two teams competing for a playoff spot. I mean, I know we feel like the Dolphins are great now, but things do change. There has been, teams that have got off to hot starts and cooled off. But should be a fascinating one. Very excited for that one. Let's move on. Give me a game.
All right. This is kind of I don't think either team really matches up well with each other, and they both just might be bad teams, so that adds to it. Let's go Cardinals at Panthers.
Cardinals at Panthers. Yeah, I just went a little bit lower on my list actually. I had this one, a decent amount behind it. I get it. To me, I do have actually the underdog Cardinals here winning this game, which is I was a bit surprised by. The Panthers defense has played well, so I think that's part of it. And again, the Cardinals really are all Kyler Murray, and it was, as we saw last week, if you get after him and actually tackle him, then you're doing okay. But I just don't know how many people can do that outside of the Rams. I have the Cardinals winning this one still. I think that they'll be able to at least get enough going on offense. It's bad on bad. I mean, this Cardinals defense versus this Panthers offense is going to be ugly to watch. But I just feel like oftentimes in those situations, it actually favors the defense. So I think I'm going to go Arizona to win.
I think that's fair because I don't know how Arizona is going to be able to throw in this Panthers secondary. This Panthers secondary has been good. And we saw a little bit from Marquise Brown last week, but I don't know if it's going to be enough to just, get Marquise Brown the ball on this Panthers secondary. But then on the other side, Arizona's secondary has just been awful every game that we've seen this season. And this is definitely not the offense I want to pick to go against a bad secondary.
Right.
So I think it's a bad matchup for both teams offensively. Like this could just be like one of those games that everyone hates watches,
Yeah, I could see that. These are the games that I love. These are the games that I'm fantastic about. I mean, one thing I want to talk about the Panthers. How about J.C. Horn? I mean, this guy is emerging to be an elite corner. I mean, this guy's been, I remember he was your favorite corner in the draft. You're looking pretty good about that. He's been fantastic. And Derek Brown's playing great as well. So the young guys looking good again. This team has pieces. They just need to, and I do think about Brian Burns' speed off the edge that could potentially help tackle Kyler. Again, you have to have the right game plan and all of that stuff. But I could easily see the Panthers winning this one too.
Yeah, I see a scenario for both teams. By the way, on that defensive stat too, Carolina is 8th best in the NFL in drop back success rate defensively. So
Gotcha.
I do think it's going to be interesting to see how they match up. I could see just the Kyler factor kind of winning this one out. I agree. But I think it's going to be interesting to see how both these teams try and scheme something up.
Yeah. I think I totally agree with that. Again, I don't know how much we're expecting. It really, I'll throw this at you. If Baker has another bad game, do you think about going to Darnold?
I hope not.
But I mean, like Baker's, I don't know what's happened with Baker Mayfield. Like Baker Mayfield, it just seemingly is getting worse every year now.
Maybe it's a confidence thing. I don't know. It has been interesting to see. He's looked kind of, it's looked bad. I don't know. Like, I guess you could say, Darnold, you get a little bit of a mobility factor there. He needs to find a way to get McCaffrey involved in this passing game. That's a big thing to me. Like, they got McCaffrey going on the ground last week. They need to get him involved through the air. That's the only thing that's going to help this pass game get better.
Yeah. Also, one hilarious stat I didn't realize: Laviska Shenault, 11 snaps so far this season. One of those was that long touchdown, so just kind of funny. But yeah, let's move off of this game. Why don't we? We don't have to spend forever on Cardinals, Panthers. Both teams need a win there. I'm going to give you a game, and I'm going to go to another game that I don't know how many people are going to be watching too closely. The Bears, Giants. We're really getting into the exciting ones here. One of these teams will be 3-1 after this game is all said and done, barring a tie. Where are you going?
Give me the Giants just at home. I don't think they're a great team, but they're a better team than the Bears. The Bears are scared to throw the football. And I think they're going to face a little bit better of a defensive line than they saw in Houston last week. And I think that's going to be a problem. They're not going to be able to run for 200 yards again this week. And if they can't do that, I don't think this offense can move the ball. So I'll take the Giants at home.
Yeah, it's weird because, the Bears have been a mess, right? I don't know how this team is 2-1. This has just been such a baffling situation. I mean, I guess there's things they do well. They run the ball well, right? That's kind of their thing is give the ball consistently to the running back, go up the middle. That's what they're trying to do. They can run the ball with effectiveness. They have some talented young players in the secondary, but it's just they don't have a complete secondary or defense in general at this point. So that's kind of what they need to fix. And it just feels like the Giants, well, they're not good. They have more more of a complete team. So I think I agree with that pick. One thing I want to talk about though, Justin Fields, currently Pro Football Focus's lowest rated quarterback. This has been a disappointment so far, right? Through again the situation, they're not giving him any help, but it's still been a disappointment.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a real argument that, it's unfortunate that he's been put in this situation and that they just don't have the talent around him to make it work. But at the same time, like, they're scared to have him drop back and throw the ball. Like, it's just, I mean, you can't say it's anything else. You can't say it's a developing offense or anything like that. They are afraid to have him drop back to pass in big moments in games. This team tries to win by running the football, even in, late minute situations. So I just think it's a big problem that if you don't want your quarterback to drop back 25 times, you're not going to win a lot of football games in the NFL. I know they're 2-1 right now, but I just don't see it happening.
Yeah. Which again, the Giants being 3-1, but the Giants, they do some solid stuff, right? Their defensive line's very good. Their secondary's played solid, and I can see it working out for the Giants are a better team.
Either of these teams being 3-1 is disgusting, but the Giants are a little less disgusting.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable to say. Again, I'll throw it out there again. I think I've thrown it out before. I want to keep saying it. Do you consider Tyrod Taylor?
I don't know. Like, I don't think you can at this point. I think you're just riding out Daniel Jones, and maybe they're hoping to lose with him too. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. They're annoyed that things are going well, right? They shout like, hey, let's throw the ball more or something. That might be it. Let's get off of these horrible games. Let's your time for you to give me a game. Maybe we'll go back to another horrible game, but go ahead, give me one.
This could be a horrible game. It's a divisional matchup that we had, higher expectations for both these teams. Let's go Titans at Colts.
Titans at Colts. Okay, no, this is a very compelling game. I think these are two teams with just one win so far through 3 weeks, but two teams that I think that these games always tend to be kind of what decides the division almost. Now, there's Jacksonville in there. You can't just pretend it's a 2-horse race at this point, at least. I am going to Colts to win. I could see it happening either way. I can see if Derrick Henry he looked better. He tends to take a little bit to get going. Maybe that's just what's happening this season, in which case that would make the Titans look a lot better. I could see it happening. But I'm still going with, I feel like the Colts on paper, they haven't lived up to what they are on paper, but I still feel like on paper they're the better team. I thought they started to show something last week. I'm going to pick Indianapolis to win this.
I think that's a fair pick. I think I'm leaning Colts too. It's another one though where it's like, okay, like we've seen so far this season, the sample size says it's only 3 games. Through the 3-game sample size, it seems like the Colts can't defend the pass. And I don't know why, but they're getting beat through the air more than through the ground. People haven't been able to run on the Colts. I think they've held all 3 teams to under 3 yards of carry, even. So it's been very good on the ground. But they can't cover the pass quite as well, it seems like. And I don't know why. So maybe, but then at the same time, like I know they want to run the ball and use Derrick Henry a lot, but can they create enough explosive plays in the pass game to make this work? That's where I worry about the Titans in this one.
Yeah, I mean, both these teams have been disappointing, right? And I think that whoever wins this one is going to feel. I guess you'll feel like you're back at this point. You'll have 2 wins. You'll sort of be, at least you'll be ahead of the other one. Which again, usually it's been a 2-horse race there. I think it's very fascinating, and to me, the thing I'm interested in is the Titans secondary. Titans defense is good, I would say, and it's playing. Are we going to see a better Matt Ryan? Is kind of my biggest question.
Yeah, I think that's what is he? PFF's 29th graded quarterback. Like, yeah,
it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, 29 out of 33. So he's ahead of Trey Lance, Jimmy Garoppolo, Baker Mayfield, and Justin Fields. That's not great.
No.
So yeah, I mean it's going to be interesting. It's been the thing with the Colts. They haven't been able to throw the ball this year, and they haven't been able to stop the pass. It seems like this year. So I think it's going to be a problem. I mean, Michael Pittman, I think, is playing, right, so everything should be good to go there. But hopefully, I mean, they need him to play. It seems like, because it was bad without him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was that week 2 was a complete mess. I mean, again, you know, I know that the Colts coverage numbers are or their drop back EPA, I believe is 27th in the league. So that's 6th worst. But they played the red hot Jacksonville Jaguars. What are you going to do? They're
That's
throwing on
true.
everybody.
Yeah, I mean, they're killing everybody right now. So
Yes. No. Should be a very fascinating one. Any final thoughts on this one?
No, I think we're good.
All right, let's move on. I'm glad that I don't have to pick this game. Chiefs at Buccaneers which will be played maybe in Minnesota, it seems, due to the hurricane, depending on, I don't know what they're waiting to decide. Where are you going? Who do you have winning this one? Again, lot of intrigue with neutral sites with these two teams. Where are you going, Kyle?
All right. Do I want to go ahead and pull the trigger?
Oh.
Go ahead and give me the Bucs and I'll lock it up. I think the Bucs are going to win this one. I think that the Buccaneers, I don't know how Kansas City is going to throw the ball on this team. I know it's Patrick Mahomes, great, but they haven't shown that they can really be that explosive offensively outside of that Arizona game, where it seems like you and I might be able to have explosive pass plays against Arizona.
Yeah.
I don't really know how Kansas City is going to have explosive pass plays against this Tampa Bay defense and this Tampa Bay secondary that's looked like the best in the league through the first 3 weeks. This secondary has been fantastic. It seemed to, beat up on almost everybody. I think they're going to give this Chiefs offense a lot of trouble. And on the other side, we finally have we have someone healthy receivers, it seems like, for Tampa Bay. Mike Evans is back. Russell Gage is kind of rounding into form with this offense. And it seems like there's a chance Julio Jones actually plays in this game. I'm joking. Give me the Bucs.
All right, I'll take over as you hopefully get a drink of water or something. So the Buccaneers are obviously a very fascinating team right now, where they've been top 5 defense, and you could argue top 1 defense and EPA per play. This is a crazy stat. So EPA per play, it's always very low, numbers. So the second best defense is they on average play. Their EPA per play is minus 0.192. The Buccaneers are minus 0.275, nearly a point per play, or not a point per play, but a tenth of a point per play better than the next best team. That's how good this defense has been through 3 weeks. Part of it could be competition, but I mean, they still played the Packers. I mean, it's not like they were playing scrubs here. So yeah, that's very fantastic. And they know how to beat Patrick Mahomes. Todd Bowles had that sort of famous game plan. So I get all of that. I think the Chiefs defense has been better than people expected. It's better than I expected, certainly. And I think that's concern number 1 for the Buccaneers. I think that the Buccaneers, I still don't know, yes, Julio might play, but how well will he play? What will we see out of him? If Mike Evans is available, they can just double Mike Evans. You still have to get other guys open. Yes, that would make it easier for Russell Gage, but I still don't know if I love that situation. And the third concern is you're playing Patrick Mahomes. So I think I'm going to lean towards Chiefs, which is actually meaning that I'm for the third time in 4 weeks, I'm picking against my team. But I think I would pick the Chiefs to win this one. But I think I would take the Bucs +3.
Yeah. I think I'm picking, I see them winning this game more than they're losing it. You said that, yes, the defense has been better, but from what we saw from that Chiefs team, I don't know, Matt Ryan was still able to put together a drive to go down and win that one. Justin Herbert was able to go down and have some success against that team through the air. And if Mike Evans and Julio Jones and maybe Chris Godwin are on the field, I like that a little bit more than what the Chiefs have against this Buccaneers defense. I just think they're going to have a really tough time moving the ball in my book unless Patrick Mahomes has one of the best games of his career. Honestly.
Listen, if these two teams are both healthy, I'm picking Tampa Bay. I'm picking Tampa Bay if both these teams are healthy. I just, I don't know if they're both going to be healthy. I get it. I mean, it's definitely something that I've considered when I was picking this. Who am I picking? I certainly agree with both. Here's another thing, though, that I don't love, you know me, definitely someone who likes analytics. The Buccaneers do not. The Buccaneers are very much a sort of their strategy seemingly is they're going to run the ball a bunch here, could that be a losing strategy in this one against Kansas City of taking the ball out of Brady's hands, who Brady has not been bad this year. People are blaming Brady, but it's really the offense's fault.
Yeah, I think there could be some stuff there. I think it could be, I don't think it's the best recipe for success, but the Chiefs' run defense also, I don't think, I mean, it's been mid-pack. It's 16th in the NFL right now, EPA. But yeah, I mean, like, I think taking the ball out of his hands, yes, but I just think it's the other side that's the bigger problem for Kansas City right now. Like, I think Tampa Bay could win this game with 17 points. I honestly do.
Yeah, it's very fascinating that we're getting Brady versus Rodgers and then Brady versus Mahomes in back-to-back weeks, and they might both be very low-scoring games.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it seems that way, and both of these teams coming off a loss makes it very interesting. We haven't seen Brady lose 2 in a row very often in his career. We haven't seen Mahomes lose 2 in a row very often in his career. But how many of them, which one's going to give, it feels like in this one, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it should be a very fun game. There's probably some hot takes coming after off of whoever loses, because then both these teams don't feel like they're a 2-2 team, but one of them will be, again, barring a tie. Let's move on. Let's go to so now it's time for you to give me a game.
All right, let's go to the let's do the other kind of marquee game of the week. Let's do Bills at Ravens.
Yeah, Bills at Ravens. It's the thumbnail game. This one should be great. I think this is a game that I'm very excited to watch. I don't know I don't know what to think about this game. I really like the Bills and I really like the Ravens. I think these are two very good teams. I think I'm going to lean. I probably should have given you this game if this hasn't done on it earlier. I think I'm going to lean Baltimore here. I think I am. I'm expecting their secondary to start to play better. There's been some issues there, but I'm still expecting their defense in general to start to play better. One of the weird things about the Ravens is this Kyle Hamilton situation. I know PFF loves him. They have him as like a top 10 safety, but Ravens fans are, they hate him. They're saying he's been a mess. He's not even a starting safety for them. Chuck Clark and Marcus Williams are the starting safeties, but that's a very fascinating situation to follow. The fan base, usually it's the other way around, right? Usually it's the fan base loves a player, PFF hates them, and then that's what they fight about. I don't know if I've seen it this way necessarily, but I like the Ravens defense enough to be able to, again, I like the talent of the Ravens defense, I guess I should say, enough to be able to hold Josh Allen. I guess the one concern I would have is, are we going to see the Ravens do the thing again where they blitz? But actually, think about Josh Allen. You think, okay, never blitz him. Blitzing him is actually a pretty decent strategy. That actually has worked pretty well. It's very different than like a Mahomes. You think of him as one of those guys, but he actually isn't. His numbers go down when he's blitzed as opposed to some of these other guys.
Yeah. I was kind of thinking that too. Like, if you get after him, like, this isn't the same sort of thing where if you play cover zero, they're just going to dump it over the top. They have guys that can stretch the field with Diggs and Davis, obviously, but it's not really their bread and butter.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be interesting to see how these two teams match up in that regard and how they go at it. I think I'm with you right now just because I think Lamar's going to be able to beat this defense. This defense has won by getting pressure on the quarterback, and it just doesn't seem like it matters how many people you put on Lamar Jackson. He's finding ways to make plays regardless. So I think I'm leaning that way too, but I do see the scenario because this Ravens team has been thrown on a lot. I see the scenario where potentially the Bills kind of go off on them.
Yeah, and the Bills, and one of the things that one of the reasons why I'm also sort of more high on the Ravens, it's a matchup thing. The Bills have been second best in drop back EPA. They've been still good in rush EPA defensively, still seventh there. But it's, that feels like it's more the strength of their team. Like you said, the pass rush and how good that can be. And they do cover well, although, not 100% healthy. But, that's kind of, they're a great defense. I mean, both of these teams are very good. I just kind of like the Ravens are just one of those teams where they're such a unicorn that they can kind of, catch teams and that don't really know how to play them.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm loving to see the matchup. Like I said, I mean, part of that too, like you said, with drop back EPA, the Ravens are currently 20th. They're getting beat downfield.
Yeah.
We saw the Patriots be able to do it when that offense looked anemic for a large stretch of the season. So It'll be interesting to see if they can hold up because I think that's the big question. Can this Ravens secondary hold up against this Buffalo passing game? I think is a huge question mark.
Yeah, I think this is gonna be a high scoring game. I think this could be an awesome game. This could be the real game of the week, the one that would could be a lot of excitement here. I think that this Ravens offense should have success. I think the Bills offense will have success as well. So I could see it going either way. Always fascinating to see two quarterbacks who were picked after Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold play each other.
And Josh Rosen, don't forget.
Well, Allen was picked before Rosen.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay. Mm-hmm. One was picked after Josh Rosen. One was also picked after Sony Michel. Don't think I forgot that.
Would you, in hindsight, you might be better off with Lamar Jackson?
In hindsight, I was saying it at the draft. I was saying it before Isaiah Wynn got picked.
Yeah, Lamar could have ran through those holes. Just have him be the halfback until Brady left.
Have him be anything at that point. Have them both play quarterback. The two quarterback system with Lamar Jackson and Tom Brady. Who's
sure, yeah. Very fascinating. should be an awesome game. Two teams that are very unique. Two teams that are, who knows? I mean, maybe this will be two teams that are fighting for the 1 seed in the AFC.
Potentially, we're at that spot now where it could be on that radar. I need to see a little more for the Ravens. I think there's pieces of the Ravens I love, and there's pieces of the Ravens that I'm concerned about. I could see this game going either way.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. Okay, I'm giving you Browns Falcons. Again, another one of those games that we're all really excited to see. Everyone's talking about Browns Falcons. This is the one. Two teams that I feel like are, I don't know. I can't think of a single. I guess I'm trying to think. Can you think of a single Browns Falcons game outside of the one that's about to happen?
No, probably not. But hey, I'm actually kind of interested in this team because the Falcons are the fun bad team. Yeah, they're going to lose a lot of games by 3, but they're going to score points and be interesting doing it. I am taking the Browns though because the Falcons are 32nd in rush EPA defensively. They suck against the run. They have one guy on their defensive line worth anything. That's Grady Jarrett. Okay. And the Browns offensive line has made basically a living this season, the first 3 weeks, of picking up large human beings and moving them backwards. The Falcons don't have a lot of good large human beings, and they're going to get moved backwards a lot in this game. The Browns are going to dominate this game on the ground. So I'm taking the Browns. This was a lock candidate for me. I didn't lock it out because I took the Bucs, obviously. But I do think the Browns running game is just going to dominate this one. I think the Falcons might be able to throw on them because this Cleveland secondary has kind of get beat and play action plays a lot, it feels like, this year. But I still feel pretty good about the Browns being able to move the ball.
Yeah, the Browns are just one of those, again, one of the words why it's so difficult to tell coverage. The coverage is like the most difficult thing to predict because, heading into the season, we're like, okay, looking like they're going to be one of the best secondaries in football. This is looking fantastic. And then, Denzel Ward, elite cornerback. He's, currently Pro Football Focus is 100 rated corner out of 103. Their drop back EPA is currently 25th in football. So it's like, we thought that this was going to be a fantastic, or total EPA is 25th in football. Excuse me. Drop back is 21st in football. This is a team that's, we thought this was going to be like the strength of this team, and it's really been a weakness up until this point. So that's just kind of one of those, football is hard to predict.
Yeah. Yeah. This Browns defense hasn't really been as good as we thought it would be. But that being said, I still think there's just more talent on it. And so I got to lean on the talent. And then not to mention, I could see this being a game where Chubb and Hunt have over 100 yards rushing.
I could see that. I could also see this game where Drake London has over 100 yards receiving. Kyle, this guy's been amazing.
I had him top 5 on my board. You should listen to me more.
I should. Listen, I love Drake London too. I had him as my wide receiver too.
Yeah. I like everything about the kid. Kid just gets open. He makes plays. He's huge. He's fast. He has great hands. Everything about him's fantastic. He's shown out this season. He's not fast. He's got decent speed.
Didn't he? I feel like he was. I don't think. I would qualify him as a slower receiver.
It's good enough for me, man.
He gets open. He incredible route runner. Doesn't matter. I'm just saying. He isn't fast.
So here's the interesting thing, though. As we've seen through the first few weeks, this offensive rookie of the year race is going to be fascinating.
Who is it?
I mean, besides Cole Strange, who they're probably not going to give it to as an offensive guard, you're looking at Drake London's been off to a terrific start. Garrett Wilson has had back-to-back really good games. Chris Olave's gone off in a few games. Jahan Dotson has touchdowns in a bunch of them.
Damian Pierce?
Damian Pierce has had a couple good games in a row.
My running back won. Let me brag. How about that?
Yeah, that was a good call. It's worked out. But yeah, I mean, you're looking at this, and with no quarterback, it makes it even more fun. A lot of these guys are potentially winning this award.
Yeah, no, it very much is fast. I still like how I'm looking at the odds right now. Kenny Pickett is still top 10, which is just kind of funny, like someone who hasn't played. But I also get it just because he's a quarterback. Yeah, no, it should be a fascinating race. It's very up in the air. A lot, so far, like we all argue about all of the draft class, and it seems like pretty much everyone's been good so far. There's been like a couple of like disappointments, and like seems like a lot of good rookies this year.
Yeah, I can't think of who's been bad so far. Let's call it the bad ones. No, I'm just
Evan
kidding.
Neal. I think
Evan Neal. Yeah, I mean, him and Aquanu have both been kind of bad.
Yeah, and even Charles Cross, I didn't see how he played week 3, but I think he had some struggles. So the tackle is not great, but other than that.
Yeah. Don't draft offensive tackles unless it's Penei Sewell. But don't draft him over Jamar Chase.
Well, I mean, yeah, in hindsight, that was a bad one. Okay, we got very off the rails for that ended out one. I don't know how we got there, but let's move on. Give me a game.
All right, our last game under 6 points. Let's go Commanders at Cowboys.
Okay, Commanders at Cowboys. There is another game under.
Oh wait, there's 2. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, but yes, Commanders Cowboys here. I'm going to pick the Cowboys. I don't want to pick this game. This does not feel like a great game. I just can't really try. I was so. You know what? Oh man, I really don't know. I'm picking the Cowboys to win. I can see this receiving core give the Cowboys secondary some trouble, but the secondary's played well for Dallas, so I can't do that too much. And again, Micah Parsons versus Carson Wentz. I'm taking Micah Parsons' team. It's just one of those things. I'm like, yeah, that feels like a disaster for Carson Wentz.
Yeah, I just think that there's a chance the Cowboys defensive line kind of dominates this game, right? Like, I mean, not just a chance. It seems like there's a very high chance. But is that like too easy of a pick that like, oh, the Cowboys defensive line is just going to overwhelm the Commanders and Carson Wentz? Like, I think there's a chance, but it also seems too easy of analysis to say, oh, they're going to dominate.
Yeah, I can definitely see it. Also, someone said, "Why aren't they the Balls anymore?" No, it's the Washington Balls. I just I copy and paste the title and I forgot to change it to Balls. So my bad on that one. I know we all want to see balls on the screen. So we got to make sure that that's what it is. But no, I think I agree. I mean, again, the one thing I'll say is Washington's tackles have played very well. Charles Leno Jr. and Samuel Cosmi both have been good this season. So that's maybe where it could be a difficulty getting the pressure that you need. But again, it's just like Carson Wentz is going to hold on to the ball for a while anyways. And it feels like it's kind of thing where Dallas will have times where they've covered up plays. Wentz will try to do too much. And, he's someone who, in football, there's almost like 2 different sports that the quarterback play, right? There's the game manager on script stuff. And then there's when that's not open, what do you do? Some quarterbacks add a ton of value. Some quarterbacks kind of do nothing. And some quarterbacks hurt you significantly. Wentz, it's probably, he's one of those guys who on script, actually a very good quarterback, but off script just so bad that it just, it really means that depending on your talent can really get a difference in the game.
Yeah, I agree. Like, it's interesting, but on the other side too, I want to go over this. Like, so the strategy has been throwing on Washington works. You don't run on the balls, you throw on the balls.
Mm-hmm.
If you're throwing around the balls, you're having success. They're not very good drop back EPA. Do we actually trust Cooper Rush this much to actually have it work again? Like, I know
Rush, future MVP Cooper Rush.
Future MVP Cooper Rush. Like, listen, he's done a very good job of taking care of the ball. That's the good thing.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, do we trust him to do it again? And are they going to drop back enough to really take advantage of this defense and where it's been bad?
No, I mean, it's going to be a low-scoring game. And, again, if the receiving core for Washington can do decent, I can see it happening. This is a good pick by you giving me this game. I don't hate it at all. I definitely understand it. I just think that for, there feels like there's more that can go wrong. Again, I hate this game. I don't know what to think of these two teams.
I think I agree, but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's another one where it's like, oh, picking the balls. Well, both of them being 2-2 feels right, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But again, it's the NFC East, so nothing ever feels right.
Nothing ever feels right. That's for sure.
Somehow, the Cowboys with Cooper Rush and the Giants with Daniel Jones are both going to be 3-1.
That's disgusting. Get these two
Best
teams out of
division in
here.
football, NFC East.
People are asking.
Yeah, could say it. No, it should be an interesting game. Not really. Let's move on. I'm gonna give you a game. This might be a bit of a surprise, but you know what? I'm interested in finding out these two teams. Two teams that I want to see more data on. They've both been a lot better than we expected heading into this season. It's not a game I think many people might think I'm going with. I am going to go Jaguars at Eagles.
Yeah, give me the Jags.
All right. Wow.
Doubling down on this. This is a disrespectful line again. Vegas has not adjusted to the Jaguars being good, by the way. Because
No.
I'm looking at this, and the Lions are frisky, and I know the Seahawks stink, but the Lions are frisky, and they're getting -6.5 points. The Jaguars are legitimately good, and they're a 7-point dog. Even on the road, that's disrespectful. Give me the Jags here because I have been consistent with this from the very beginning. Jalen Hurts is pretty good. Jalen Hurts against a team that can man up by cornerback, not very good. I was on this last week. These corners are good for Jacksonville. They can cover. Tyson Campbell, Shaquille Griffin, they're legitimately good. They're both top 25 still in position grade at outside cornerback for PFF grades. This is a good secondary that's going to be able to man up, I think, a little bit more on these Eagles guys. Give me the Jags. They can move the ball on anybody, and they can cover. I got the Jags here. I think they're a good team.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, this is a game where we have two top 7 offenses, according to EPA. The Eagles are 4th. The Jaguars are 7th. So there's definitely that aspect. And the Jaguars, the 3rd best defense, according to EPA per play. So through 3 weeks, the Jags have been incredible. Now, again, they've had 2 blowouts in there. So, of course, they're going to look, that's going to help, obviously. I'm surprised, but I don't know. I feel like, yes, you're right that the Jaguars corners can cover well, but I don't see this as disrespect to the Jacksonville Jaguars as much as I see it as respect to the Philadelphia Eagles. Yes, these corners have been very good. Yes, Shaquille Griffin and Tyson Campbell and, Darius Williams hasn't really been that great, but, Griffin and Campbell have been very good. But can they cover A.J. Brown and can they cover, Devonta Smith? I think is that to me, that's the bigger question. I don't think they've had a test like that this season.
They haven't had a test like that this season, but they've aced every test that we've seen so far. So right now, I think that they're going to be good enough to do it. We'll see if that changes going forward, but it also helps that they have good safeties behind them too, which I think is a huge part of this. And they have a good safety behind them in Andre Cisco, which also helps defending downfield. So I like what I'm seeing from this Jaguars defense. I think that they're going to be really good in this game, and I like them being able to excel. And then this offense, I mean, like I think the Eagles secondary is good too, but they don't necessarily need to go downfield and drive the ball downfield in this team to be successful. They
Right.
have James Robinson and Travis Etienne in the backfield, who are both very capable options out of the backfield, both catching and running. So like I like the Jaguars to cover for sure, but I do like their chances to win this game too.
Yeah, I think I like the Jaguars -7 as well. Couldn't you see though? If this is going to be kind of they can cover. If they can cover, there is the X factor too. Of we can't just talk about Jalen Hurts and not bring up his legs. His legs are a big part of what makes him successful. Also, a guy who was drafted, in the Doug Peterson era. So that's kind of an interesting added wrinkle here.
Yeah. The legs are an important part of this, and the big thing is going to be, we've seen I mean, the legs are an important part to Jalen Hurts' game, and it's going to help in this game, I think, too, to an extent. But isn't the best solution to a guy who has incredible legs and is able to evade pass rush so good to have insane athletes on the defensive line? And it isn't it a
Sure.
great thing when you draft a great athlete on the defensive line, number 1 overall, to be able to deploy him in this game?
This is the game. This is the Trayvon Walker scenario. This is the game that you
Yeah.
get, and you're happy you have Trayvon Walker. We have to talk about Trayvon Walker, right?
Okay.
Jacksonville Jaguars fans are doing victory laps about Trayvon Walker, which is the most confusing thing in the world to me because Trayvon Walker has been exactly the guy that we said he was going to be heading into this season. He's been a good run defender. He has. He's been amazing in coverage. His coverage is the best. He's the best coverage edge rusher in the history of football already through 3 games. I'm willing to put that on his resume. But the guy has been non-existent in the pass rush situation. I mean, he's had a few. I believe he has 4 pressures in 3 games. I mean, this is he's bottom 5 in Pro Football Focus pass rush grade. He has not been an effective pass rusher. He's been an effective player for his role, absolutely, but he has not been an effective pass rusher.
Yeah, and weirdly too, like I feel like I'm seeing him drop in coverage more. I mean, I think they said it's only 15 plays, but it feels like more at times. But yeah, I mean, the pass rush isn't awesome, but he's still kind of what we thought he was in college, which is a good run defender who's a work in progress as a pass rusher. And I think that's kind of benefiting him in this one because you have to approach Jalen Hurts like a runner a little bit to an extent in this game. You can't get caught up field against Jalen Hurts because he's going to go step up in that pocket, find a hole and run. That's what Trayvon Walker is going to be able to do. I think he's going to be able to have success in this game. Not to mention Josh Allen isn't a bad athlete himself at defensive end. So, they have guys who are going to be able to at least contain Hurts, I think, potentially. This Jaguars defense has speed to it, and I think it's going to work in their favor.
Yeah, no, and Josh Allen's been unbelievable. Who's the better Josh Allen?
People are asking. I'm still going to lean Buffalo Josh Allen, but it's a conversation.
Yeah, if you take out positional value, it's definitely a conversation. But yeah, I like both these teams a lot. I think that they're both very good. I had the Eagles, but there's a reason why I'm picking this game. There's a 2-point spread that I did not pick. I picked this game for a reason because I think that this is a lot closer than I'd expect you to pick the Jaguars, but I think it's closer than people in the desert do.
I had it on last week when the Jaguars were +7. Right. I'm riding with it again. Give me the Jags here on the road, pulling off the upset, baby.
Yeah. Someone says use Trayvon as a spy. That's very interesting. I actually had a different. Let's stick on Trayvon Walker a little bit longer because I find him so fascinating. Like again, there's the whole people that just seemingly don't want to have any conversations, don't want to decide if he's good or not right away. To me, what I'm fascinated by with him as well is like, I had this thought, is there any thought about him moving him to an outside linebacker? Like the guy's so good in coverage. He's a great run defender. If he was a middle linebacker, like, couldn't he be like one of the best in football?
He could be. I mean, the thing is, that's a whole other position to learn. I mean, it'd be hard. Sure. But I do think there's a scenario where you could do stuff like that or have him bounce outside a little bit more. But I think it's a conversation to have. I think the thing is I think he's so raw too that you could kind of be versatile with how you want to develop him. If you want to develop him out there, it's not like he doesn't come off as a guy who's been a 4-3 D end his entire life or anything like that. I think he'd be able to kind of, move around. I've seen him at Georgia bump inside to a D tackle position. I think he can kind of do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and maybe that's that could be fascinating.
And as Ben over here says, scroll up a little bit on the chat. If Hurts makes it past Trayvon Walker, then he will have to meet Devin Lloyd, best linebacker in football. Devin Lloyd's waiting for him, baby. This guy's been electric. Probably my favorite player so far as a rookie goes. I did my whole spiel on him Sunday night, so I don't have to get too far into it. But he's really good too. Jack's got dudes, man.
Yeah, they do. They're an exciting team to watch. Let's see if the hype train. I mean, the hype train will be off. If they pull off this one, I mean, we'll be talking about them as we'll be fully on board the Jaguars hype train. We'll see if it happens. Give me a game, Kyle.
Let's go to that -2 spread. Let's go Rams at 49ers. This line feels a little disrespectful, but I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I'm surprised the 49ers are favored in this game. This was a shock to me, so I'm locking up the Rams. I think the Rams are, again, the defending champs. I get it. The 49ers played the Rams tough, right? They beat them twice in the regular season last year and nearly beat them a third time in the NFC Championship game. So I do understand it, and it's in San Francisco. But I don't know. I just feel like the Rams are the better football team here. I think that they sort of started to figure it out. I don't trust Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't know how you could after that game we just watched on the prime time. I still think I feel like I like the I like the Rams offense enough. I like what they're starting to get going. Seems like they're starting to piece together. They still don't feel complete. Still feel like they need another receiver. Maybe once Odell gets there, once they sign Odell, that'll make it better. But this is I'm picking the Rams to win.
I agree. This was a lock candidate for me as well, and I probably would have done better to think about locking this one up over the Bucks, but betting with my heart there. We'll see what happens. Yeah, I mean, this 49ers offense looked terrible with Trent Williams out.
Yeah.
Just really bad. And while I don't think the Rams defense has been awesome through the first few weeks, they still have Leonard Floyd, Aaron Donald, and a couple other guys on the defensive line. That's not bad. I don't know how this 49ers offensive line is going to hold up without Williams. I think that's a huge problem. I just don't see how they move the ball.
Yeah. I mean, I'm with you. I think that, I mean, what I did, I made a top 100 players list this offseason. Number 1 and 2 both play for each of these teams. Aaron Donald 1 and Trent Williams 2 is where I had it. And you could have argued Trent Williams 1. I mean, he was that good last year. So losing that player, it's just such a hurts you so much. And again, I just feel like I haven't seen it from San Francisco this season. I know that, yes, they were so close last year. Yes, they do play the Rams tough. I could see them pulling off the upset for that reason. But, locking up the underdog here where all they have to do is win, I feel pretty good about that.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how that matches up. I think the 49ers are going to have a really tough time moving the ball. I think we're going to see a lot of gadget Deebo Samuel. We're going to see him a lot of motioning into the backfield. We're going to see a lot of him taking jet sweeps. I think that's what they're going to have success because they just don't have the horses right now to go up the middle on these guys. Especially with A'Shaun Robinson in the middle, not full strength on the offensive line. I think that's going to be really hard to find success.
Let's play devil's advocate, though. Couldn't you see, 49ers, if they just double team Cooper Kupp all game, force someone else to beat you, kind of what they did with Devontae Adams in that Green Bay Packers playoff game? Isn't there a chance that this could be a key to success and this could be a way that the 49ers can slow down the Rams offense?
To an extent, yes. Like, I don't think the Rams stink outside of Cooper Kupp though. I mean, it's not great, but Skowronek had plays last week. Tyler Higbee's had plays in the past. Gerald Everett's had play. Gerald Everett's on the team, right? No, Gerald Everett's not on. But I mean, whoever they have.
Wait, no, he isn't. No, wait.
Yeah, he's not on the team anymore.
He was there last year.
Tight end.
Tyler Higbee. That's they're the same player.
Yeah, I mean, they've all made plays in the past. I don't think it'd be impossible for the Rams to get a couple scores. And, I mean, based on what we saw from the 49ers last week, a couple scores might be enough.
Yeah. It should be an interesting one there. Always interesting when NFC West teams get together. Let's move on. 3 games left. I'm giving you a game at this point. I'm going to give you Seahawks at Lions just because I still feel like who is this Lions team? So even though the Seahawks are not very great, I know that this probably was, you kind of go to opposite strategy of trying to pick the better underdog. Not what I'm doing here. Where are you
going? Yeah, I think you're right on this one though, because the favorite is significantly weaker than the other 2 favorites, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. But I'm looking at this if St. Brown plays, I think the Lions could actually cover this spread. But if St. Brown doesn't play, how much do we love this Detroit offense? How does it look? I still think it should be fine regardless, but I'm going to take the Lions. But yeah, I mean, that's the one thing, if you're going to bet this game, definitely wait till the last second and check on St. Brown, because if he's not available, I could see this offense kind of cratering a little bit without him.
Yeah. We have a super chat saying Lions spread is -4 now. Listen, spread change all the time. I do what I can, but I appreciate the super chat and appreciate that. That makes sense. Probably the St. Brown stuff is what caused it to go down a little. But yeah, I think that's totally fair. It's just the Lions are a team, right? Where it's what do we make of this Lions team? Where are the Lions at this point? I don't know. They're still a bottom 5 defense in EPA per play. I got to say, I don't know if Jeff Okudah is fully elite.
I don't think he's fully elite, but he's at least competent now, right?
Yeah,
I think we could
solid.
Say that. Yeah. He looked like the worst corner in football his first year.
Right.
So I think it's, this is a development that's, I think, positive at least. He's had some good games. But yeah, I mean, even, this Detroit secondary is still 24th in dropback EPA. It's not great, but the Seahawks team isn't unless Metcalf goes off, how was the Seahawks built to beat anybody downfield? I don't really think they are. That's not really what they want to do anyways. And then the other part, you can clown Jared Goff all you want. I don't think Jared Goff's a fantastic quarterback or anything, Jared Goff's pretty good when he has a clean pocket, and I just don't see the Seahawks team getting after him in the pass rush either. So this could end up being kind of a high-scoring game. It would be interesting to see how that plays out. But I just think that there's enough better players on Detroit for me to pick Detroit.
Yeah, but Kyle, I mean, you got Geno Smith, Pro Football Focus's 8th rated quarterback through 3 weeks, throwing to DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. I mean, can't you see them just torching this Lions secondary?
He's 8th?
Yeah.
At what?
At football, at quarterback, playing quarterback.
At playing quarterback?
Yes.
Well, let me look at this.
I'm not making this up. This is the true thing.
He's higher than Trevor Lawrence?
I believe so, yes.
Oh my God.
Listen, I haven't, I'll be honest, haven't paid overly attention to this. It seems a bit surprising for a team that's averaging under 20 points per game.
I don't think that's right. I'm not taking Geno Smith in the top 10. I like some of PFF stuff. Their quarterback stuff, especially on small sample sizes.
It's totally small sample size, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like he threw the ball right to the Atlanta Falcons guy to end the game. Like he threw it right to him to end the game. Like I don't get that at all. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think Geno stinks. I guess I'll give him that. Like I don't think he's not the 32nd best quarterback in the league. That's Justin Fields.
Right.
I don't know why I threw a dig at him.
Yeah, what was it?
Catching strays.
I'll say this. I think I might like Geno Smith over Jared Goff right now.
Really?
Yeah, it doesn't seem obvious to me that Jared Goff is better than Geno Smith. Like Geno Smith has been legitimately like I know it's small sample size this season, but through the 6-7 games we've seen him in Seattle, he has played well.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. He had the good first half against Denver. He had stretches of that game against Atlanta. He looked pretty good. But I think overall, yeah, I guess, they're probably it's probably a wash at the position, wouldn't you say? Between the two teams?
Yeah, it doesn't seem obvious to me one way or the other.
Yeah. So I still think, unless one of those receivers for the Seahawks go off, I just don't see how they move the ball enough. Give me the Lions in this one.
Yeah. Again, I totally agree. I think the Lions should be favored. But I could see the upset happening. Very fascinating.
How many minutes are you going to watch of this game?
I'll watch however long it is on the condensed version on NFL Game Pass. Probably the next day.
So nothing live?
No, not intentionally. Okay. Whatever they show in Red Zone, probably.
Okay, fair enough.
I'll probably watch I'll have to keep up with it at least enough to do a podcast about it.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
This might be the one that I took a little inside baseball, behind the scenes stuff. Every now and then, there's a game or two that you don't watch every snap of before the Sunday night podcast. You only have so much time. This might be one of those that I only watch the highlights package before going on.
Yeah, this and the Bears Giants for me. You're not going to get the best analysis from these two games. Trust me.
Yeah, but you might want to wait until Wednesday to get until we can watch the whole thing there. Let's move on. We have 2 games remaining. Patriots, Packers, and then Chargers, Texans are the 2 games. And you know what? I'll do it. I'll give Patriots, Packers. Let's have some fun with it. 11-point spread. Hoyer the Destroyer looks like he's going to be the starter in this one, going against the Packers. Who is the better quarterback in this game? Who can say? Who do you have winning this one?
Wait, you just gave me that game. I picked Lions.
Oh, I did. That's right. Yeah, that's my bad.
You know what? It doesn't matter though. Just keep this one up here.
You sure?
for consistency's sake, I don't care.
Okay.
I think we know which ways we're picking for these teams. I don't have to pick against my team now. This is so sad. I don't even want to talk about this. Like, we're gonna lose by a lot, and it's gonna be embarrassing. Like, am I even gonna make it to halftime of a Patriots game? I don't even remember the last time I've only made it to halftime of a Patriots game. I usually watch these things through. I don't know if I'm going to watch any of this. This is going to be depressing. That's how I feel.
Really? See, I don't know. I think there's a chance. Listen, isn't this yeah, I think I could see the Patriots defense playing well against the Packers offense. I think the Packers can struggle to get guys open in this one.
Potentially. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a scenario for that. That being said, everyone's gotten open on Jalen Mills, so who knows? Um,
Sure.
yeah, I
But
mean,
no one's getting open on Jonathan Jones. So you
yeah,
got,
I mean, he's
got
the
that.
best cornerback in the league. So, I
Mhm.
mean, obviously, Jonathan Jones has been fantastic. As I joke about the PFF grid there, but he has been fantastic. That being said, I see a scenario where the Packers often struggles. But that being said, I don't see it struggling to the point where they're not getting 20 points or something like that. And I just don't see the Patriots like getting 10.
Yeah. You don't think the Patriots can get? I guess I get it. Also, you have some Jackson division winner Patriots over Bills and Dolphins. Yeah. Okay. So you get picks wrong sometimes. Okay. Not everyone can be perfect.
Yeah, and not to mention like having the quarterback go out in week 3 doesn't help, or week
Yeah.
4 doesn't help.
Uh-huh.
Like I think they should play Bailey Zappi personally.
Yeah. Well, yeah. What is that? What is happening here?
So I mean, there's an argument too. I've heard this argument that we saw what happened with Nathan Peterman when he got put in too early, and it was a complete disaster, and it ruined his entire NFL career.
Hmm.
That being said, like I don't necessarily know what the scenario is that Nathan Peterman has a great NFL career. Um,
Hmm.
I think that's the argument you can make is that he's just not ready, and it's not fair to put him in that situation to struggle. And against this Packers defense on the road, I see the argument for it. That being said, we saw Brian Hoyer have a start 2 years ago, and it was bad. It was really bad. It was horrible, and I just don't see a scenario where that gets any better at 36 instead of 34. And then not to mention, there's a lot of arguments I think to seeing what Zappy is, just because if you put Zappy back there, he's either A, bad, and you can look for a new backup next year, B, decent, and you could trade him for a pretty good draft pick, or just keep him as your backup quarterback, or C, he's really good, and then you have a good problem on your hands where you have two good quarterbacks. So
Hmm.
I think there's a huge argument for playing Zappy. Maybe just on the road at Green Bay against that secondary. Bill Belichick saying, I don't want to put that on the kid. I get it. But I'm still in the argument that it's the NFL and you have to see what he has.
Yeah. One thing that's interesting though is that we'll talk about the quarterbacks plenty. This is going to be a run heavy game. It feels like. I mean, you have
Yeah.
the Packers who you can run on. They're 20th in rush EPA. That's kind of maybe the way you beat this Packers team is by running on them. The Patriots, everyone's running on right now. This is not been a great run defense. So if you can, if that's the way that you can if that's what teams are winning, going to try to do this. This could be a very run heavy team. These are two teams that like to run the ball. They're kind of built to run the ball on top of that. So it feels like that's going to be the way that this can go. But my question is going to kind of, I guess, maybe that's the way that the Patriots can win is if you can get Aaron Rodgers to make a mistake or two and Hoyer just never touches the football other than to hand it off. That might be the way that the Patriots can steal one here.
That would be interesting if they go back to the 3 pass attempts game plan that they had in
Yeah.
Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. So like Christian Barmore, good in pass rush, hasn't really held up his end of the bargain on the run defense, and that's
Mm-hmm.
been a problem with the run defense I think this season. Not to mention like a lot of those runs I think that hurt this Patriots run game had to do with Lamar Jackson scrambles, which it's like, okay, what the hell do you do? I think it's kind of a toss up in that regard, but overall I think they're okay against the run. We'll see how it goes against this front line in AJ Dillon and Aaron Jones. I think that could be a problem, but it'll be interesting to see. I do think it's going to be a run heavy game between both teams. It could be a fast game, which would be nice. I think it's the afternoon game, so could be done with this one by like 6 o'clock. Get the better games, but yeah, I don't see a scenario like Stevenson and Harris would have to have insane games. I think for the Patriots to keep this close.
This is an interesting comment. Someone says, I'd 100% take Geno over Mac. Kyle, who would you rather have, Mac Jones or Geno Smith?
Well, PFF apparently Geno Smith, so
Uh-huh. I would probably take it's for 2 to 3 game sample size. I think I would probably agree.
oh boy.
Well, Mac, I mean, listen, obviously I would take Mac Jones. I'm just saying, like, if we're
Yeah.
talking about who was better for the past 3 games, Jones had some, he didn't have a great start to the season.
No, he hasn't. It's been bad, but I think a lot of that has to do with offensive coordinator. So, yeah, I think it's having offensive game plan that isn't really working out, plus bad receivers overall, it doesn't help.
It also doesn't help that little Jordan Humphrey has nearly double the snaps that Kendrick Bourne does.
Yeah, I've never gotten it. I don't know what happened this offseason, but they apparently don't like They don't like Kendrick Bourne anymore. So yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how this Patriots team works out. I think this defense, like you said, can hang, but I just don't know if it's going to be enough. And if Hoyer turns over the ball, I think it's going to be a rout. I think, it could be Packers by 20 at that point. If he's able to take care of it, we'll see.
Yeah, no, listen, I'm not picking the Patriots to win. I'm just saying I'll pick them to cover. I'll say Patriots plus 11.
Patriots plus 11.
It's going to run the ball a lot. There's not going to be that many drives for the Packers to get to ahead, I think.
This is a tease game, isn't it? Like, that's probably where you're going with this. Like, you could tease this to, like, Packers -5, and you could tease the Chargers to Chargers by a half a point. And so basically just Chargers to win, Packers by a touchdown.
Yeah, I could see that. Is there maybe some hope that the Patriots lose by so much that they find like their offense looks so bad they finally make a change to the coaching staff on offense?
That's not
is
going to
that
happen.
Best case scenario?
That's not going to happen until the offseason. I'm telling you, it's not going to happen. He's doubled down on this. It's not going to happen. They're not going to make a change at that spot. It's been a mistake. He's going to double down on the mistake till the offseason until they hire somebody new.
Is Bill Belichick washed up?
I don't think he's washed up. I still think he's a master game planner. I still think he's great with X's. I thought we had a good game plan for Lamar Jackson. It's just that you're playing Lamar Jackson, so you throw your game plan out the window because he's great off script. He's the best quarterback in the league off script right now. Is that a debate?
Lamar? I can't. No, no, it's not a debate. Lamar's the best.
Yeah, so I thought we had a great game plan against him. It's just that he's the best quarterback in the league off script, and when he gets off script, he's going to make a play and it beat us. So I still think he's a great game planner. I still think he's a great mind of football. Hiring offensive coordinators and picking wide receivers, 2 weaknesses.
Yeah. It should be interesting, though. Again, always fun when those two teams get together. Chargers at Texans, which now I'm giving you because I accidentally gave myself the last game. Chargers, Texans. You were high on the Texans through a couple weeks. You picked the Texans last week, and it seemed like after 1 week of picking the Texans, you have decided the Texans are the worst team to ever play football.
First of all, I don't think you gave your official pick for the last game.
I'm picking the Packers to win.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Yes. You're right. We have to get on the record. This is a legal document. This game. This is not. We can't just speculate.
Yeah. Listen. You said I'm high on the Texans. I picked the Texans because they're playing the Bears. Let's not get it twisted.
Sure. Right, fair.
And the Bears proved me wrong. I'm taking the Chargers in this one. I mean, Justin Herbert could have no ribs, and I'm probably still picking the Chargers in this game. The Chargers needed this game badly, right? They need a get-right game. This feels like the perfect time for them to play the Texans at this point. They can't go 1-3. This is a must-win for the Chargers. I should have locked this one up, too, because I get the touchdown hook. This feels like an easy win.
Yeah, an easy win. Yeah, I mean, it really does come down to, I think, last week was really rough for them, but I'm willing to say, like, that was kind of just an anomaly. Now, Joey Bosa's hurt. That hurts. I mean, that part of what was making that team look so good through a couple weeks was the Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa stuff. Now you don't have that, so that's part of the concern. I think that's fair to say with a guy like Davis Mills, who you can't give him time. He will pick you apart, Kyle.
Yeah. Clean pocket Davis Mills, one of the best quarterbacks in football. That's what we've always said about him.
Yes,
I will say though, so the interesting thing about this Texans defense, we've been over EPA so far tonight. 15th in EPA defensively. They're not bad. Run pass. I think they're at least average both sides. Their receivers aren't scrubs either. Like Brandon Cooks is obviously good. I don't think Nico Collins stinks either. So if there is a clean pocket, maybe one of these guys gets open, especially if JC Jackson's not washed. There's at least pieces here to the puzzle. They're just not enough to compete with the team that Chargers talent.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm quite ready to say JC Jackson's washed just yet because again,
I'm just messing. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Gotcha. Well, yeah. I mean, he hasn't been great so far to start, but one thing I'm fascinated as well is we were sort of talking about the Dameon Pierce thing, the running game against this Chargers offense, which we have seen, teams have success against that, especially with no Joey Bosa there, who does so much in that running game. The Chargers running defense been better, 23rd in rush EPA allowed, which is better, still not incredible. And with loss of Joey Bosa, could be worse. That could be maybe a way that the Texans can find a way to win it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess I think the interesting thing is where are we at with this Chargers team? That's now what? They're 1-2, right?
Yeah.
So they're 1-2. Joey Bosa's out at least this week. It's didn't they say a couple weeks potentially?
Yeah.
So he's going to be out a few weeks. Rashawn Slater, as One Nation Underground said, out for the season.
Right. Yeah, that
Keenan
sucks.
Allen still hasn't come back from that week 1 thing.
Mhm.
Justin Herbert's seemingly going to play injured for the foreseeable future. What is our feeling with this Chargers team right now that we were really high on?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's tough. Again, sort of the strategy is they build around stars, and then you're losing some of those stars. I mean, that's there's no getting around it. That's just really tough.
Do you still view them as a playoff team?
Well, here's the best thing about what's happened with the Chargers is, which I'm trying to remember if I had them as a playoff team preseason. I don't remember, but I don't think I did. But the next 5 weeks, these are the teams they play. They play the Texans, the Browns, the Broncos, the Seahawks, and the Falcons. I mean, those are 4 teams I think you would put below them, and then the Broncos, who you maybe say are about equal. So if they get out of that stretch like 4-1, then they'll be healthy at that point. They're injured at the right time, I guess, because of where they're at in the schedule.
Yeah, and then they get the Atlanta on the other side of that bye week too. So it's not like it's they have a couple of tough games after that, but it is going to be interesting. I'm curious to see how this team kind of groups together. I'm not the right person for this because I've been fading the Chargers seemingly since like January because everyone's just too high on them too quickly to my book. But this is a team still with a lot of talent, and even though they lost a few guys, still has a lot of talent. It'll be interesting to see how they recover.
Yeah, no, yeah, should be a fascinating game. All right, Kyle, that's our show.
Yes, that is our show. By the way, while we were on air, Aaron Judge hit his 61st home run, tying Roger Maris.
There you go.
So.
How do you feel about this? I feel like, is it part? We are both Yankees haters, right? But I feel like part of the fun of it is that there's like that. Is Aaron Judge going to leave in free agency, which makes it kind of fun?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little funny that it's like this is looming over his head. I mean, it's so funny that the Yankees finally don't cough up enough money for it to happen. And then the guy who bets on himself is actually going to win in the end. It's going to work out for him, which is pretty funny. I mean, this has to go down as maybe one of the greatest MLB seasons of all time.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, he's been unbelievable.
Yeah, he might win the Triple Crown along with hitting 62 home runs or more.
Yeah.
It's unreal. And it's not even just the Triple Crown. Like, he's blowing away basically every single, RBIs has got a huge advantage. He's I think he's the highest OPS too, and the highest, slugging. Like, everything he's basically the highest in. It's an unreal season. I mean, this is a Bonds level season almost, minus 13 home runs, but
Do you think that playing, 81 games in Fenway next year will help him or hurt him?
It should help a lot. Short left field, short porch there, baby.
Yeah. As a Rays fan, it's kind of one of the things you don't even think about that.
Oh, I mean,
not even a situation. Not even
we'd be paying a guy over 30, so I think that's tough.
Yeah. No. Yeah. It should be. Yeah. I think it should be interesting. Again, hey, I saw him hit a home run this year, so I have that going for me.
Did you?
Yeah, I went to a game. It was a classic. It was when the Yankees were completely, they fell apart for a bit, and it was the Rays won 2-1. Judge had a home run in the 9th inning to make it, made it 2-1, and then the Rays held on and won.
Did Zach Campbell throw 4 kids over the wall to catch it?
Yeah, that's actually exactly what happened.
I figured it did.
Yes. Okay. Well, I should head out of here before the internet goes away.
Yeah, that's true.
Glad we got this show, and we did a long show too. I don't know why we didn't shorten it up a little, but given the situation. But yeah, glad everything worked out. Kyle, let them know where you can find us on Twitter before we head out.
Yeah, make sure to follow us on Twitter. That is at Jackson Kruger. Make sure to follow me at by Kyle Gronin. And make sure to follow the account page that's at On the Sideline JK. That is at On the Sideline JK.
Yes, of course. Anyone who, if you like your audio only feed, anywhere you get your podcast, that should be available. So check out that. Anyone who's listening to this in Florida here with me, stay safe. Hopefully everything works out. Kyle, any final thoughts before we head out?
Looking forward to week 4, man. It's almost depressing to say it's already week 4, but we got that. We got basketball season around the corner. Media days were, eventful. So this has been fun stuff. Sports are back, baby.
Yeah, hockey season's about to start in a minute. Soon we'll have the playoffs in a new playoff format. See how that baseball playoffs. See how that works. So, and like I said, the judge home run situation is fascinating too. So a lot of good stuff.
Yeah. All right, man. Stay safe.
Yes, I'll do my best. Yeah. Thanks to everybody again. And until next time, see you later, alligator.
Peace.